On August 20th, the Sichuan Provincial Meteorological Observatory issued a blue alert for heavy rain, forecasting that the rainfall would last from August 21st to 24. Showers and thunderstorms were expected across most of Sichuan Province, with heavy to torrential rain concentrated in the western and southern parts of the Sichuan Basin. Very quickly, those forecasts turned into a devastating reality. Surging floodwaters left buildings crumbling one after another. Bridges and dams were swept away, and the raging waters cut off entire communities from the outside world. At around 5 a.m. on August 20th, disaster struck Yunnan Province. A sudden mudslide tore through Tuanjie Village in Ning'er County, burying homes, destroying roads, and sending torrents of mud and debris crashing into the village. Villagers awoke to chaos, with many scrambling to rooftops for safety. Some residents revealed that the mudslide actually occurred at 3:53 a.m., not at 5 a.m. as reported by official media. A China Unicom employee confirmed this, stating, "I work in the network department, and none of us slept that night because of the landslide." The timing difference was not trivial. It meant that many villagers were still asleep when the disaster struck, unable to react in time. CCTV, the CCP's propaganda outlet, claimed only 4 deaths in Tuanjie Village. But locals and independent observers doubt this figure. Given the CCP's track record of suppressing disaster details, many fear the real toll is far higher. Meanwhile, neighboring Enyang Village in Daean Township was devastated. Mudslides submerged low-rise houses, roads were either buried under landslides or washed away, and the community was effectively cut off. Elderly villagers and children were stranded without electricity, without mobile signal, and with no way for rescue vehicles to enter. Yet this humanitarian crisis went unmentioned in official state broadcasts. The disasters were not confined to Yunnan. In Sichuan, heavy rains continued to pound towns and villages, leaving destruction behind. Jiangxi Province also suffered from severe flooding, with rivers overflowing and farmland submerged. Further north, Inner Mongolia was slammed by record-breaking downpours. From the afternoon of August 18th to the early morning of August 19th, torrential rain battered Ordos City. Dongsheng District recorded a staggering 214 millimeters of rainfall within just 24 hours. Local reports confirmed at least 3 dead and 3 missing, as flash floods swept through residential and commercial areas. But what has angered many citizens most is the response of local governments. Instead of prioritizing evacuations and rescue, authorities secretly released floodwaters from reservoirs, intentionally flooding downstream communities to protect infrastructure elsewhere. In Baotou City's Tumdright banner, villagers described catastrophic losses. Businesses washed away, cars overturned, and entire crops destroyed. One villager, Mr. Hao, told overseas Chinese media, "Floods have been released again over the past 2 days. Tumdright banner has been severely affected, especially roadside businesses. Stores are gone, cars are gone, and farmland is underwater. The water is simply too high." Across China, from Sichuan to Yunnan, from Jiangxi to Inner Mongolia, disasters are piling up. Torrential rains and mudslides are destroying homes, isolating villages, and leaving countless families in crisis. Yet official reports remain fragmented, downplaying the scale of human suffering. As villagers cling to survival on rooftops in isolated island villages, wait for rescue that may never come, one truth grows clearer. The floodwaters are rising, and the voices of the victims are being drowned out by silence from above. Even more shocking, the floods in Inner Mongolia didn't stop at the provincial border. They spilled all the way into Shenmu City, Shanxi Province. On the afternoon of August 20th, water surged from the Wulan River in Ordos, Inner Mongolia, and poured downstream into Shenmu, where it becomes the Kuye River. For years, the Kuye had been nothing but a dry riverbed overgrown with weeds. Now it was transformed into a raging torrent, a flood of a scale unseen in decades. Local residents watched in disbelief. Ms. Lee from Shenmu City described the scene. The entire river channel was flooded. There was no grass left, just fast, furious water. Vegetable fields and cornfields were gone, garbage was everywhere, and huge tree stumps and even cattle were being washed downstream. Mr. Wang, a resident of Ordos, told overseas media that the rainfall was relentless. Dongsheng had torrential rain all night. Cars were submerged, and I heard 3 people died. In Shenmu's Dianta town, trees were knocked flat by the water. I've never seen a flood like this. This flooding, worsened by the CCP's secret flood discharges, blurred the line between natural disaster and man-made catastrophe. But what happened in Fujian was a purely man-made tragedy. On August 20th, 2020, crowds of tourists were enjoying the beach at Jinlun Bay on Dongshan Island. Without warning, sluice gates from a nearby river were opened, and within seconds, floodwaters engulfed the beach. Several tourists were swept away by the sudden surge. Only the quick action of others diving in to rescue them prevented a mass casualty. Netizens were furious. One comment read, "Oh, Shaman, this unannounced flood release is outrageous. Where are the safety plans?" Another lamented, "For the past 2 years, Chinese people have been dying inexplicably." Many saw this as yet another example of government indifference, a blatant disregard for ordinary lives. As if floods were not enough, on August 18th, hailstorms slammed Urguna City in Inner Mongolia with hailstones as large as eggs. Weather patterns this year have been chaotic. By the beginning of autumn, rain should have eased and temperatures cooled. Yet torrential rains, extreme heat, and floods continue. The Central Meteorological Observatory predicts more heavy rainfall in eastern Inner Mongolia, northern North China, northeast China, and southern Tibet in the coming days. This relentless chain of disasters shows no sign of ending. From deadly heat waves to unprecedented floods, the Chinese people face one blow after another. Worse still, warnings often come too late, or not at all, leaving citizens defenseless. The devastation in Gansu Province stands as one of the starkest examples. Late at night on August 7, 2025, torrential rains struck Yunnan County, Lanzhou City, unleashing floods and massive mudslides. Entire villages were obliterated. Rescue workers later reported at least 2,000 deaths, though many fear the true toll is even higher. CCTV, the CCP's propaganda arm, broadcast dramatic footage of rescue teams to showcase the so-called kindness of the party. By August 18th, the official rescue operation was declared complete and heavy machinery was withdrawn. But the reality on the ground told a different story. Philanthropist Mr. Wang visited the disaster zone and was shaken by what he witnessed. Elderly farmers were still eating instant noodles and drinking 50-cent bottles of water. Where were the cheaper bottles or the Nongfu spring supplies? No one knows. Survivors had nothing to wear, just muddy clothes clinging to their bodies. They had no way to survive. The relief supplies could not be handed to the government. I regretted ever handing them over. From Inner Mongolia to Fujian, from Gansu to Shanxi, the disasters keep piling up, natural and man-made alike. But as lives are lost and survivors beg for help, the silence and negligence from those in power have become their own kind of catastrophe. A philanthropist, Miss Zhang, voiced her deep distrust of the Chinese Red Cross after witnessing the disaster relief effort firsthand. She said, "Supplies donated from all over the country can't even reach the victims. Donating to the Red Cross is simply a waste of time. The local character associations didn't deliver aid to the people at all. Instead of helping those in desperate need, they disappeared. So now, instead of waiting for someone to add icing on the cake, we have formed our own charity teams to send relief directly to the villages. If all we could do was bring instant noodles and force people to live on them every day, we'd stop. At this point, I believe giving money directly is the most effective way, making sure it reaches those who truly need it." Her frustration echoes a sentiment felt by many ordinary Chinese citizens. Across disaster-stricken areas, people are asking the same question. Where did the donated supplies go? The reality, however, is that donations handed to official organizations often vanish into a black hole of bureaucracy and corruption. In many cases, they are believed to end up in the hands of well-connected individuals or even resold for profit, while the victims are left with nothing. The Chinese Communist Party understands clearly what such scenes mean for its image. If images of villagers starving in flooded ruins, shivering without food or clothing, were widely circulated online, it would shatter the carefully polished propaganda of the party caring for the people. That is why police have sealed off many of the hardest hit areas. Guards are stationed at key roads and checkpoints, ensuring that no independent filming or live streaming can expose the grim reality. Anyone caught trying to record or broadcast the suffering risks being silenced, detained, or expelled from the disaster zone. This raises an uncomfortable but unavoidable question. If those in power truly claim to serve the people, why are they so afraid of the truth? Why must cameras be blocked and voices silenced? The answer lies in the stark contrast between appearance and reality. On one side is the polished image of protection and care. On the other side are the villagers, hungry, cold, and forgotten, still waiting for help that never comes.